Hey, this is Pastor here, John Mark. I want to talk to you just a little bit about the events that are taking place right now as it relates to the natural disaster we're seeing down in Houston and South Texas as well. As we've watched Hurricane Harvey, as we just saw the development of the hurricane, initially they said it was a Category 1, then a Category 2, and then a Category 3, and then a Category 4. And then beyond that, we really weren't sure what was going to happen, but we thought it was going to be bad. But now if you look at the National Weather Service, they're saying that the damage that is going to be caused by Hurricane Harvey, they use these words, unprecedented, and other things, damage that we've never seen before. So how do we as believers and Christians look at a situation like this? First of all, when we think about where's God in this, He's in the midst of the circumstances. The reality of it is God doesn't cause these things, but He does allow it. If you look at Paul and what Scripture says, you look all the way back to Genesis and Romans as well, both of those passages talk about creation groans as a result of sin. Boy, the sin that was created in the lives of Adam and Eve so long ago still affects us today personally, but it also affects all of creation. We know there's going to come a day when Christ returns, when all of the difficulty and the hardship and the death will go away. But until then, we have to deal with things like Hurricane Harvey and natural disasters and tornadoes and tsunamis and all of those things. And so the question becomes, how do we deal with those as a believer? First of all, if I'm a believer going through that situation, boy, I just think of Isaiah 43 verse 2 that says, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. What an incredible promise from God. Or the passage we've been looking at recently, Romans chapter 8, verse 28, that clearly states that not all things that come into our lives are good, but God works for the good, and He can even produce good out of some difficult and bad situations. So if we are the one that is going through that situation, we want to be reminded that God is working. He can turn some bad into good. Or we can remember with Paul what he said in Romans chapter 8, verse 39, where he says, in all these things, even in the hard things, we are more than conquerors. But more importantly, how do we respond? Those of us who are here at Cottonwood and around, how should we respond when others go through disasters and struggles? First of all, we have the opportunity to give. Even if you look at our website, go to cottonwoodcreek.org/hurricane. We've identified and vetted 2 organizations that are always on the front line. They use your money wisely, and they are right there helping and ministering to people. So if you can't go, you can always give. But then secondly, we can go. If we have opportunity to go, and as a church, I will tell you, we are pursuing relationships with churches down in the Houston area to see if we can go on some short-term mission trips, some construction projects, some of those type things. Now, the reality of it is, before we can even make those trips, we've got to let the floodwaters recede. We've got to see where we can be most effective, and then we'll take trips as we go down there in the future. So, how do we deal with those? First of all, we want to pray with those people. But we also want to do something tangible. We want to give. Then finally, we want to go. Why? Because we want to be a part of seeing God even work some good out of such a tragic situation. Take care, God bless, and we're praying for everyone in Houston.